Truck drivers of Reddit, what is the most creepiest thing you've seen while traveling through the night? I was driving through eastern Washington on a remote state road. No rest stops, no cities, just endless stretches of open land. I'd driven the route enough times to know that every 40 miles or so, there were massive dirt pull-offs where you could park safely away from the road. So, I decided to call it a night. I pulled over, closed my blinds, and settled in to watch something on my phone. About an hour later, I heard someone try the driver's side door handle. I hadn't heard a single vehicle pass since I parked, so my stomach immediately dropped. I got up and peeked through the curtains, staring into the blackness outside the driver's side window. Then, I heard the passenger side door handle rattle. I shifted my position, peeking from the top of the curtain, but I couldn't see anything. Heart pounding, I reached for the ignition, started the truck, and flipped on the lights. Nothing. Nobody near my doors. No vehicles parked anywhere in sight. I took a deep breath and tried to calm down. Maybe it was the wind. It was pretty strong that night, and with all the flat land, debris could have blown against the truck, making it sound worse than it was. Still, I wasn't convinced. I shut the sleeper curtains, because, somehow, that felt like it would help. Just as I started to settle back down, I heard something. The sound of metal being pried at, near the vents on the sleeper. Then, the door handles rattled again. Then, the truck shifted, like someone was climbing onto it. I hit the small alarm button in the sleeper, hoping to scare off whoever, or whatever, was out there. But instead of stopping, the noises just blended together. The clicking of the door handles, the light tapping of fingers on the windows and chassis, the hiss of air escaping the suspension. Then, suddenly, silence. For a few seconds, the only thing I could hear was my own breath, shallow and uneven. Then, in the distance, another truck approached and rumbled past. I stayed awake for the next few hours, waiting for the noises to return. They never did. By morning, I stepped outside, expecting to find footprints or damage. But there was nothing, except for one thing. Every window of my truck was covered in tiny, human-looking handprints, like a toddler had licked their hands and pressed them against the glass, over and over again. Story 2. I pulled off an exit ramp around 3 a.m. for my 10-hour break. The full moon was high, casting light over a nearby cut cornfield, where I spotted an unmistakably human figure standing alone. A little unsettling, but I shrugged it off. Probably just an old-timer setting up a scarecrow for the grandkids. I settled in, watching some YouTube videos before calling it a night. Out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw movement. I shut off my lights for a better look. There it was, the same figure, but something felt off. I couldn't be sure, but it almost seemed like it had moved. Maybe just a little closer. The highway was nearly deserted, only the occasional car passing every 10 minutes or so. I was definitely on edge, but nature called. I debated using a bottle, but I told myself I was being ridiculous. I took one last glance. The figure was still where I'd last seen it. I hopped out, stepped between my truck and trailer, and started to pee. Every nerve in my body screamed at me to look, but I forced myself to ignore it. Just paranoia. But I couldn't help it. I looked. The field was empty. The figure was gone. My stomach dropped. I cut things short and bolted back into the truck, firing it up without a second thought. I tore down the highway, violation be damned, and didn't stop until I reached a well-lit, crowded Love's 40 minutes away. I haven't parked on an exit ramp since. Story 3. I'm not a truck driver, but for the past 4 years, I've been driving every day and night for work. I was in a rural part of Mississippi, somewhere between Clarksdale and Greenwood, on a 250-mile stretch of Tulane Highway. The weather had turned pretty nasty as I was leaving Clarksdale. I called my wife to let her know there were high wind advisories and potential tornado threats throughout the Delta. I told her I'd call again once I reached a safe area. I'd already been working for 14 hours when I got into the truck, so I'd eaten dinner and grabbed some coffee to stay awake and alert. If you've never driven through flat farmland at night, it can be exhausting and eerie even without bad weather. I had driven maybe 30 miles into the farmland when hail started bouncing off the truck. Being from Mississippi, I knew that in July, hail meant tornadoes. I pulled over to the side of the road, in the middle of nowhere with no lights or cars around, and started looking for the storm or tornado I thought was coming. I rolled down the passenger window and shined a bright flashlight into the night. Nothing. Then, I turned to the driver's side, and there was a man's face pressed against the window, grinning from ear to ear. I screamed, and he was gone. I slammed the truck into drive and took off. We have cameras running on all our trucks, so when I got to a safe place, I called my wife. I didn't want to freak her out, so I didn't mention the guy or the hailstorm. However, I did pull the SD card and check the cameras. I swear, this guy never showed up on the front or rear cameras. I've always brushed it off as my imagination, but I'll admit, I don't drive through the Delta at night unless I absolutely have to. Some side notes. The guy was tall, very pale, with eyes that were sunken back, and a grin that really stuck with me. It stretched from corner to corner with crooked teeth, almost like the Cheshire Cat. Our trucks aren't semis. They're regular passenger vehicles outfitted with cameras and GPS for insurance purposes. We're not DOT regulated because we're not commercial vehicles. If I ever feel tired, I'll stop and get a hotel. I don't take risks with my safety or others on the road. Why the flashlight? I'm a technician for about 40 retail locations and sometimes have to go up into industrial building ceilings. The flashlight I carry isn't your typical small beam. It's a telescoping floodlight that can easily shine a beam 1,000 feet ahead. Having survived one tornado in a vehicle, I wanted to see if I could spot a funnel cloud and get to a safe place in time. Story 4. Over the years, I've witnessed some pretty messed up stuff. Bad wrecks, drug addicts, panhandlers, and more. There used to be a small rest area on US 52 in North Dakota at the intersection of ND 30 near Sykeston. I was coming out of the building after using the facilities and getting ready to leave when I saw a guy open his car door. The angle was just right for me to see that he was completely bare. Then he got out of his car and started walking around it. I couldn't tell if he was a druggie or if he thought, hey, this is a good way to pick up a truck driver I've never met. Either way, I didn't stick around. I just drove away and didn't look back. Maybe it's not creepy in the traditional sense, but I sure thought it was. A story that really did creep me out was when I was driving across Kansas on I-70, heading west. There's a long stretch out there with only a couple of tiny towns and not much else. As the night wore on, I started noticing a beat-up old motor home passing me over and over. Inside, there were people with their faces almost pressed against the windows, watching me with a creepy level of interest every time they passed. I never noticed where I repassed them, and a couple of times, I swear they passed me twice. Even though there were no rest areas or exits for them to pull off at, I would have seen them stop somewhere, but there they were, passing me again. They all looked like some creepy version of Charles Manson or something else offbeat. By the time I got to the TA truck stop in Limon and stopped for the night, I was pretty rattled. And almost every driver I know has seen things late at night that they can't explain. Maybe it's fatigue, or maybe not. But I've seen very large, man-like shadows cross the roadway too quickly for their size several times. I'm not saying it was Bigfoot. I never got a clear enough view. It was always just out at the edge of the headlights, and I could never be entirely sure of what I saw. But it sure looked like something large crossing the entire road in just a couple of steps. Really weird. Story 5. My friend drove for a few years a while back. He told me he was driving a rig very late at night in Utah, driving on a lesser-used two-lane highway. He said he remembers feeling very alert that night. So, he noticed what appeared to be a figure manifesting up ahead on the dark road. Told me it wasn't on the road, but just next to it. He then comes to a stop and grabs his heavy-duty flashlight and points it at the figure. He then describes it. Apparently, this humanoid creature had a dead coyote it was eating, and the truck had gotten its attention and pissed it off. So, it sort of stands up so he can get a full view of the thing. It was giant, with very big eyes, and of course the coyote blood all over its face. Its height was about 6 feet 2 inches. It had skinny limbs, no clothing. He then describes how it started to shuffle slowly towards the truck. Not only does he not have a weapon at that time, the only usable weapon being his flashlight, is actively helping him view this creature. He decides to book it and leave. Had no problem passing it. Turned around to see it standing in the middle of the road on 2 legs as he drove away. When he reaches the nearest rest stop, he sees 2 other truckers talking. Apparently, my friend wasn't the only one to see the thing. Both the 2 guys looked as horrified as he was. As for my opinion on my friend's encounter, I have to say, my friend isn't one to lie. So his story had me intrigued. I told him maybe what he saw was some mentally ill person out there. But he brushed the idea off, saying he knew what he saw wasn't human. I'm not the superstitious type, but his story really did creep me out. Story 6. I used to work as a road train driver in the Gascoyne region of outback Western Australia. A lot of black dog phenomena on night shift. I would see all kinds of things appear in the shadows because of fatigue, or three goats would change into some sort of beast. One time I swear I nearly ran over a corgi, which would be astronomical odds. There is one in the wild in this part of the outback. One night, I parked to sleep, letting the engine cool for about 10 minutes before settling in. I woke up to strange noises, not voices, but something with an eerie sense of order. The entire cab of the truck was shaking. When I glanced in the mirror, I saw shadows moving around the vehicle. Instinct kicked in. I fired up the truck, switched on every light it had, and took off toward the port. This was a big rig. Whatever had moved it must have been powerful. I chalked it up to the wind, some goats wandering around the truck, and sheer exhaustion. But regardless of the explanation, it scared the hell out of me, and I never slept during a night shift again. Story 7. This might not be directly relevant, but it's still pretty creepy. My dad is a trucker, and about 20 years ago, a woman offed herself by running out in front of his truck. He told me that every night around the time of her death, the temperature in the cab would drop a few degrees, and he could sense a presence. This went on for weeks, and eventually, he spoke out loud to her, telling her that he forgave her and wished her peace. After that, he said the strange feeling never happened again. Story 8. This is a story from my dad, who's been a trucker for over 50 years. He usually only shares these experiences when we ask. Otherwise, he doesn't bring them up. One night, he was on a long haul and knew he wouldn't make it home. So when he spotted an old-looking pub up ahead in Ireland around 1:30 a.m., he decided to park for the night and grab a pint. He went inside and noticed that everyone was dressed in old-fashioned clothes and dancing, but he didn't think much of it. He ordered a Guinness, and to this day, he says it was the best pint he's ever had. After finishing his drink, the faces of the people in the pub started to blur and go out of focus. He decided to leave, got back in his truck, pulled the curtains, and worked on his crosswords until he fell asleep. The next morning, he woke up and planned to go back to the pub for some breakfast and a coffee before hitting the road again. But when he pulled back the curtains, he saw that the pub from the night before was now derelict, boarded up, and looked untouched for many years. He can't explain it, but he's sure it wasn't a dream. Story 9. I used to deliver hotshot freight across the Great Plains/Minnesota area. One night around 2 a.m., I was hauling across North Dakota, trying to reach Montana by morning. I was delivering a particularly valuable tractor part that a farm desperately needed for the following day. I began to notice some highway hypnosis sneaking up on me, but it didn't really bother me because I'd been through it hundreds of times before. Anyone who has driven across North Dakota knows that it is incredibly flat. Like, really flat. There also tends to be very straight and long roads. It's somewhat easy to see things on the road that are far away, even at night. I noticed something long on the road, spanning my entire lane, approximately half a mile in front of me. I slowed down a little and prepared to move into the opposite lane, thinking it was some retread off a blown tire. As I got closer, I noticed it was two people, laying head to toe across the entire lane. I swerved into the other lane, successfully avoiding them, and came to an almost complete stop. But they didn't move. Not an inch. I was just about to back up and check on them when I remembered a story that an old graybeard colleague of mine told me. He told me that in certain remote areas, people will lie down in the middle of the road and wait for a car or truck to stop and see what's going on. At that point, the road layers along with whoever else is hiding in the nearby bushes will beat the crap out of the driver and steal his vehicle, leaving him in the middle of nowhere. I decided not to back up, and when the two people in the road saw me put my truck back in gear and drive away, they both got up and walked toward the shoulder. I called the police and explained what happened, but we were so far away from civilization that I doubt anything came of it. Thanks to that old graybeard, I got to keep my truck, my job, and my teeth. Story 10. Years ago, Dad took Mom, my sister, and me on one of his interstate routes, turning it into a camping trip where we'd set up a tent each night. One evening, we stopped in the middle of nowhere to camp. In the middle of the night, Mom suddenly needed to pee, but was nervous because she could hear strange noises. She woke us all up, and as we listened, it sounded like a bunch of people were walking around us. It was seriously creepy, especially since we were hours away from the nearest town. Dad grabbed a cricket bat and a flashlight, clearly on edge, thinking something was about to happen. He opened the tent flap, ready to defend us, and we were surrounded by cows. There were hundreds of them. Apparently, the area we were in was known for faceless grazing, where cows roamed freely. Mom just held on and tried to get some sleep after that. This was in Australia, by the way, somewhere in the Northern Territory, I think. Story 11. I'm not a trucker, but this happened on a road trip with my ex-girlfriend, and I've always wanted to tell the story. We were headed from Oregon to Eureka, California, and had to take Highway 299. We got a late start, so by the time we hit the highway, it was already night. We thought it'd be just another rainy stretch of highway, but we were totally unprepared for how twisty and isolated it was. By midnight, the rain was still coming down, and my girlfriend had been dodging rockfall the entire drive. She was exhausted, and I could tell she was done. We found a small flat area off the road to pull over for a quick nap, just a dirt outcrop. The rain had stopped, but everything was muddy and, man, it was so quiet, eerily quiet. We were both completely drained, so we just passed out in our seats for about 30 minutes. Keep in mind, we hadn't seen a single car the whole time we'd been driving. I woke up to the sound of scratching underneath the car, which I assumed was an animal, so I brushed it off. Then I heard a steady plopping sound in the mud, like someone was walking around the car. I didn't see a thing. I nudged my girlfriend, thinking she was still asleep, but she was wide awake, frozen, and just said, "I know." She told me she'd had this gut feeling something was off from the second we pulled into that spot. We stayed still for a bit longer, convincing ourselves it was just a deer or something, in denial. But then, I felt a literal wave of goosebumps as the scratching started again. This time, we bolted into action. She threw the car in reverse fast. Suddenly, she screamed, "There's someone there." Oh my God. I turned to look, and she saw a figure dive into a nearby bush, lit up by the reverse lights. I didn't see anything, but we were both in full panic mode and practically skidded back onto the road. The rest of the drive into California was uneventful, but after that, a motorcycle tailed us for a good portion of the drive. At least it stayed at a distance, but just seeing that faint light bobbing behind us made everything feel even creepier. Probably unrelated, but who knows? The whole night just felt wrong. So, if you're ever on Highway 299 in Oregon, be careful. Story 12. I'm a FedEx contractor, driving one of those big box trucks. I had just finished a long delivery day, and I swear to whatever gods you believe in, I started hearing voices in my cab. It wasn't the radio, it wasn't my tinnitus, and it definitely wasn't my subconscious. I was hearing whispered voices in my right ear, coming from the passenger seat. The voices kept going even after I got back to my hub, clocked out, and hopped in my own car to head home. They only stopped when I left the parking lot. It only happened that night, and I still have no idea what the hell it was because I ruled everything else out. Story 13. My father's told me this story maybe 1,000 times. My family, as well as a couple of uncles and my oldest cousin, went on a trip from Mexico City to Acapulco when I was barely a year old. Back home in the middle of the night. The good old days when you could travel at night. The car broke down, and a police car quickly came to our help. There were 3 policemen in the car, and the chief offered to take my dad to the nearest gas station, where he could find a mechanic, and told the other 2 officers to stay with our car. My dad says they seem absolutely not pleased with the order, until the chief told them, "Don't worry, there's a woman and 2 children." That seemed to calm the 2 officers. Driving to the gas station on the police car, my dad asked the chief what was all that about. The chief told him that there had been many accidents in that part of the road. That's why they were able to find our car so quickly. All of the accidents involved young men traveling without female or child company. Those who had survived said that they crashed because they could see a very beautiful woman next to the road. But once they came close to her, she turned out to be just a rotting corpse staring at them, and they crashed because they were paralyzed by fear. Story 14. It was around 1 a.m. in Reno, Nevada, on the north side of town, far off the freeway towards an old military road. I arrived early, well before the place opened at 6 a.m. Since the facility was closed and there was no one around, I just pulled into the lot and parked off to the side to catch some sleep. Not long after, I was suddenly woken up by someone knocking hard on my door and window, enough to shake the truck. I jumped out of bed, thinking they were there early to offload me, but when I reached the door, no one was there. I figured maybe they were behind the trailer, checking the door seal or something, But when I stepped down and looked around, there was absolutely no one in sight. I checked under the truck and all around the area. Nothing. There was no wind, no weather, and no one around at all. Feeling uneasy, I hopped back into the truck and left as fast as I could, heading to a nearby truck stop to park for the rest of the night. I still can't explain what happened. I could maybe justify imagining the sound, but the truck shaking for sure wasn't in my head. I have no idea what it was. Story 15. I'm not a truck driver myself, but I like to ride along with my stepdad sometimes. One evening, we were driving down this winding road surrounded by trees, with no houses or fences in sight. As the hours passed, I started seeing a man on the side of the road. He had dirty white rubber boots, a vertically striped light blue button-down shirt, a blue cap, a cloth bag hanging from his right shoulder, and a long machete swinging from his dusty jeans. I don't know why I remember him so clearly. The strange part was, as we got closer, he stayed the same distance ahead of us. I pointed him out and said, "Hey, we should offer him a ride. It's an empty road, far from any town." My stepdad looked over and said, "Who? There's no one here but you and me." I insisted, "Look, he's right there, the guy with the light blue shirt." We went back and forth like this for a few minutes until the man suddenly disappeared. I figured it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. Then, I noticed blood spots appearing on the road. I didn't mention it to my stepdad, thinking it might have been an animal or just my mind messing with me. But it kept happening, and it started to get worse. When we stopped for a quick break, I saw the man again. This time, he was coming from the opposite direction. I thought to myself, "Oh great, not you again." I tried to ignore it and went about my business. When I finished, the man was running toward me, getting closer and closer. I panicked and jumped back in the truck, shouting at my stepdad to drive off. He laughed it off, saying I was crazy, and insisted there was no one there. The blood stopped a few kilometers down the road, and I forgot about it, until my mom later told me she had seen the same man and the blood trail on a similar road. It may not sound as scary as some other stories, but it really messes with your mind. Story 16. A friend of mine's husband is an OTR driver, and last year, he told me a story I'll never forget. He was driving through California and decided to stop for the night in a diner parking lot. There wasn't much else around, but he figured a hot coffee would hit the spot. He got out of the truck and went inside, where he was greeted by a beautiful woman named Jackie. She welcomed him, sat him down, and asked if he wanted some pancakes and coffee. He told her he wasn't hungry, but she frowned, bringing him a cup of coffee and homemade pie instead. She insisted he eat it, and it was the best thing he'd ever tasted. Jackie stayed with him, and they talked for over an hour. He felt like she was a special lady. Then, an Elvis song started playing, and he asked her to dance. After a couple of slow dances, she handed him a rose. He thanked her, and she asked him to come back for breakfast before he left. He nodded, then went back to his sleeper. The next morning, he woke up to pounding on his truck window. It was the sheriff, checking on him. They chatted for a bit, and the driver mentioned that he was planning to go inside to say his goodbyes to Jackie. He told the sheriff how much he liked her. The sheriff stared at him, then said, "Jackie died 3 years ago." He pointed to the diner, now run down and abandoned. The driver opened his truck and pulled out the rose that he had left on the passenger seat. The sheriff took a step back, his face pale. He explained that Jackie was known for putting fresh-cut roses on the tables of the diner. Apparently, 3 men had broken in one night and murdered her during a robbery. The driver had no idea. Story 17. Not a truck driver, but once I was driving through the Canadian Rockies late at night and had just passed through a small town. So, I'm driving through the pitch black, and I need to stop to pee and have a smoke. But because it's so dark, I missed the last rest stop for the next while. No problem. The highway is completely deserted. So, I pull to the side of the road, have my pee while staring out into the dark, and then light up a cigarette and stand by my car. As I'm standing there, I see the figure of a man just walking out of the tree line. I'm miles from civilization, patchy cell service, and there isn't a soul on the road. I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me, and maybe it was a deer, but nope, this was a man. So, I calmly walk back to the driver's door and get in, locking the doors behind me. I'm keeping my eye on this guy as I nervously smoke and have my car in drive, ready to peel out. But for some reason, I just stayed put. The guy walks right up to my passenger door and knocks on the window. I crack the window, and I ask what's up. He replies to me in a very, very serious tone, I need you to call the cops. I cautiously ask why, and he tells me he had gone out into the woods to off himself, but he couldn't go through with it because he had thought of his daughters right before he was about to do it. I call the cops while the guy quietly cries outside. He had a kitchen knife that he was going to use, so I stayed in the car and advised him to maybe leave the knife on the ground before the cops arrived. The cops came and got him, but before they left with him, I gave him a solid heart-to-heart and wished him well. I still think about him. I hope he was able to turn things around. Story 18. Well, it was creepy at first. I pull into a Purdue plant, drop my empty trailer ago, park where they allow bobtails to sit, right next to a nice little pond. My pickup was in 12 hours, so I did my PTI and laid down in the bunk. At about 3 a.m. I hear something tapping on my passenger side door. I get up, look out the window expecting to see someone, maybe a driver asking for a lumper check, but no one's there. All right, maybe I'm hearing things. So, I went back to lay down. As soon as my head hits the pillow, I hear the tapping again, except this time it's on my driver's side. Same thing as before. I jump up and look out my window, but nothing's there. Double lock my doors just in case and open my side hatches so I can hear what's going on outside. After about 15 minutes, I heard a very light splat 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 going along the driver's side of the truck. I slowly get up, planning to look out my window at the exact moment whoever it is knocks on my door. And then I hear a thud coming from the roof of the cab. I stop, grab my tire thumper off its hook and ready myself for whatever the hell is going on. Then a mother frigging goose falls off the top of the truck and lands on my hood. It stands up, waddles back and forth, and looks at me. As we make eye contact, the tapping at my door starts again. I say screw it, and throw open the driver's side door, and there's another damn goose waddling away with all the speed it can manage, honking like a 5-year-old who just found the horn on his new bike. The pond I parked next to had a ton of them just dicking around. Needless to say, it was hard to sleep that night because every couple minutes the damn geese would peck at my door or land on the cab and waddle around. Story 19. Trucker here. I think the best creepy thing that ever happened to me was when I was heading from Tucson, Arizona up into Salt Lake City, Utah. Well, this was a few years ago, and the main highway had been taken out in a flash flood, was under construction, so I had to take a weird detour through the mountains in lower Utah. Well, it was getting late, and I was getting tired, so I pulled off onto the shoulder and went to sleep in my bunk. Now this was in the middle of nowhere. The closest town was like 40 miles away, so it was completely pitch black outside once I turned the lights off. Anyway, around 4 a.m. I wake up because I'm hearing something messing with my truck, like playing with the air and power cables between my cab and the trailer, which is literally 6 inches from where my head is at, but on the outside of the cab. Then I feel something climb onto the landing that's on the back of my truck, and it shakes my whole truck. So I'm guessing something around 200 to 300 pounds was climbing around back there. I'm thinking like a mountain lion or a bear. At this point, I'm wide the F awake, and I want to get this thing away from me. So I slam my hand into my cab wall, trying to scare whatever is out there, slam hard enough to really make it loud. I then hear someone, a male, scream bloody murder, and I hear them fall off the back of my truck. I then heard about 15 other people all around my truck yelling. I climb up front, turn on my lights, and illuminate a squad of Army reserves doing their midnight ruck march and capture drills. Turns out these guys were supposed to go find an abandoned truck and secure it for their midnight drills. That truck was 3 miles back down the road. They were not expecting me to be sleeping there and thought I was part of the drill. I'm ex-military, so after explaining I was not part of their test and legit was just there out of coincidence, we laughed it off. They had to radio to their CO and tell him I was there and not have the other squads bother me. Story 20. I used to do deliveries, not a truck driver, but I had a regular route that took me deep into the boondocks, about 25 miles from civilization. This stretch of road sat right between 2 large towns, and though it was a long, isolated drive, I'd always pass at least one car coming the other way. Along the route, there was a small cluster of rundown old houses. In the 6 months I'd been driving this way, I had never seen a soul near them. They looked completely unlivable, so I assumed they were abandoned. One fall afternoon, I was heading to a customer, and for the first time, I hadn't seen a single car in ages. When I finally reached the old houses, I saw something I wasn't expecting, an elderly woman in her front yard, pushing an old manual grass cutter. As I approached, she suddenly stopped. Thinking maybe I was speeding, I instinctively slowed down. But when I passed her and glanced in my rearview mirror, my stomach dropped. She was staring straight at me. She had let go of the grass cutter. It just sat there as she turned a full 180 degrees to keep watching me. Something about it felt deeply wrong. My gut screamed at me that this wasn't normal. In the 10 months I continued driving that route, I never saw her, or anyone else, near those houses again. Story 21. Not the middle of nowhere, but a trash route in a pretty rural area. We were at a stop loading trash when a pickup stopped behind us. A petite woman in scrubs that were covered in blood got out and asked directions to Lake Jack Nolan. She said there was a deer that had been hit by a truck, and she had been sent to remove the remains. She never said who sent her, but she wasn't moving a deer anywhere at her size. We gave her directions and sent her on her way. We all said we wondered if she was going to dump a body or something. She was already covered in blood in a nice truck and was supposed to be on her way to move roadkill that was far too heavy for her to handle. Then we went back to work. Story 22. Not sure if this story is creepy, but it's definitely scary. My father was a truck driver in East Africa in the 80s and early 90s. During the years leading up to the Rwandan genocide, my father was passing through Rwanda. He reached a checkpoint and was forcibly removed from his truck at gunpoint. Apparently, he looked like he belonged to the Tutsi tribe, and they put him in a cage with other Tutsi prisoners. He tried communicating that he isn't Rwandan, but no one spoke the same language as him. Every night, they would take about 5 people from the cage and slaughter them in front of him. After the third night, he saw a man that spoke a little bit of Swahili, which my dad speak, and told him that he's not Rwandan and showed him his ID. Somehow that guy got him out, and he was handed the keys to his truck and was on his way. Story 23. My dad used to drive a truck between Edinburgh and London, and he tells this story often. One night, he was cruising down the motorway when he glanced to his right and saw a woman in the passenger seat of a car beside him. She had her hair in a tight, Miss Trunchbull bun, as he describes it, and was staring at him with a terrified expression. Before he could fully process it, the car took the next exit, leaving him shaken but unsure of what to do. About half an hour later, a different car with a different driver pulled up alongside him. But in the passenger seat, the same woman, same bun, same terrified look. At that point, my dad decided he wasn't imagining things. He planned to pull into the next service station and report it, better safe than sorry. But before he could catch any details, the car disappeared. With no license plate or solid information to give, he figured there wasn't much he could tell the police and carried on driving. Then, nearly 4 hours later, as he was nearing London, another car pulled up beside him. And there she was again. Same woman, same expression. But this time, she was screaming at him through the window. That was it. My dad pulled into the nearest lobby and called the police. Turns out, he wasn't the only one. The police had already received 3 other calls about the same woman and car in the last few minutes. Unfortunately, that's where the story ends. He never heard anything more about it, and despite keeping an eye on the news, nothing ever came up. Maybe it was some bizarre coincidence. Or maybe something far stranger was going on. Who knows? Story 24. Around 2006, I was driving a flatbed through rural Tennessee, somewhere between Memphis and Nashville, closer to the Mississippi-Alabama-Tennessee border. I had picked up a load of construction materials, drywall, roofing, something pre-packaged in boxes, and since it required a tarp, I strapped everything down, covered it up, and hit the road. About 5 miles down a desolate two-lane highway, I noticed my tarp flapping. I pulled onto a wide shoulder to fix it, and quickly realized I had done a sloppy job. Frustrated, I decided to redo the entire tarp. I unhooked all the bungee straps, rolled the tarp back up, and climbed onto the load to start over. That's when I saw him. A man was walking toward me on the same side of the road. At first, I didn't think much of it, just kept an eye on him as I worked. But as I finished placing the tarps and climbed down to secure the straps, he was close enough that I was now more focused on him than the load. Just in case, I grabbed my winch bar, a solid, 8-pound metal tool about 4 feet long, and set it on the trailer within reach. Then he was in front of me. The first thing I noticed was his hair, patchy, uneven, like he'd tried to cut it himself and given up halfway through. Next were his eyes. They were clear, not drunk or high, but something about them felt off. Like the lights were on, but nobody was home. His clothes were worn and dirty, his white sneakers tattered. One missing laces, the tongue flopped out awkwardly. He stopped, looked at me, and said, "I've got a long walk." I nodded. Yeah, man, you do. We're in the middle of nowhere. Making it clear I wasn't offering a ride. He nodded back and kept walking, passing my truck. Then he stopped at my driver's door, turned around, and walked right back to me. Same flat tone. I've got a long walk. I explained I couldn't give him a ride. Insurance reasons, company policy, all that. He seemed to accept it, turned, and walked away. I kept an eye on him while finishing up. He was moving off down the road. I felt relieved, until I checked again a minute later. He had turned around. Now he was about 100 yards ahead of my truck, walking toward me again. His hand was up to his face like he was talking on a cell phone. I could barely see his mouth moving, his other hand gesturing as if he was having a conversation. Except, as he got closer, I realized he wasn't holding a phone. He was talking to his hand, and it didn't look like a friendly chat. He was agitated, almost arguing with whatever imaginary presence he believed was there. That was enough for me. I finished strapping down the tarp, grabbed my winch bar, and climbed into my truck. As soon as I was inside, I locked the doors and set the winch bar on the passenger seat. When I looked back at him, he was only about 10 yards away, still holding his hand to his face, still muttering. I turned the key, threw it in gear, and pulled out. Didn't even check for traffic. As I passed him, he just stared at me, dead-eyed, blank, still having that angry conversation with his own hand. By the time I hit 5th or 6th gear, I checked my mirrors. He was gone. Story 25. Not exactly creepy, but definitely terrifying. My father was a truck driver, hauling a load of tomatoes through a small town in Northern California. Out of nowhere, an overwhelming wave of exhaustion hit him. He wasn't sleep-deprived, hadn't been on the road for an unusual amount of time, just suddenly bone-tired. The last thing he remembered was seeing the lights of the town ahead. Then, nothing. 2 hours later, he woke up. He was on the other side of town, perfectly parked on the side of the road. No memory of stopping, no recollection of pulling over, just a complete gap in time. To this day, he swears something was looking out for him that night. Story 26. I used to drive a truck in northern Manitoba, on a road in the northeast that stretches for hours with very few vehicles. The road is flat and straight in some areas, cutting through deep bush. One day, I saw something cross the road in the distance. It was massive, easily taller than the hood of my truck, but not long like a moose or elk, just tall. It vanished into the bush, and as I passed the spot, the hair on the back of my neck stood up. A few days later, I heard a tow truck driver on the radio describing a similar encounter. He was much more certain about what he had seen, Bigfoot. He went at great lengths to explain that he wasn't crazy, but he was sure of what he'd witnessed. Curious, I asked an Aboriginal client of mine in a nearby community about it. He told me that the elders spoke of such creatures, referring to them as they would any other animal. I don't know what I saw that day, but I'm sure it wasn't a bear, moose, deer, or elk. I just know it was something else. Story 27. Years ago, I read a story on a thread that stuck with me. A guy was recalling an experience from his childhood, riding with his truck driver father in the middle of nowhere. They were coming up on someone lying in the road with no cars or anyone else around. His dad honked the horn, but the person didn't move. He honked again as they got closer, still no reaction. At that point, the father told his son to put his head down and cover his eyes, then ran the person over. When they looked back, a group of people who had been hiding in the woods were now rushing out. The story implied that the father had recognized it as a setup for a robbery, or worse, and didn't want to take any chances with his child in the truck. I have no idea if it was true, but I think about that story all the time. Story 28. My uncle was driving between Great Falls and Helena around 3 a.m., with his high beams on since it was a quiet, lonely stretch of highway. In the distance, he saw something cross the median and slowed down, thinking it was a deer. As he got closer, he realized it was standing up, so he slowed down even more to about 30 miles per hour. That's when he realized what he was looking at, and panic set in. A man in blue coveralls with the head of a pig, not a mask, but the actual head of a pig resting on his shoulder. My uncle quickly moved to the left lane, and as he passed, the pig-headed figure lunged at the truck. He didn't stop to check if it had grabbed onto the truck, driving straight to the safety of Helena. Everything seemed normal once he got there, but now, when he drives that stretch of road, he doesn't slow down for anything. Story 29. Not technically a truck driver, but I used to work as a field technician in the oil industry, so I spent a lot of time driving through remote areas of Canada at odd hours. One very strange and eerie experience sticks with me. I was in either northeast BC or northwest Alberta, can't remember the exact location, driving late at night, when I noticed a very large black shape on the road in front of me. Thinking it was a moose, I stepped on the brakes, coming to a stop only a few feet from it. Despite being so close and having my headlights shining directly on it, I still couldn't tell what I was looking at. It was vaguely the shape of a four-legged animal, but very big, probably about 6 feet tall. Aside from that, it was completely featureless. I couldn't make out any details whatsoever, no shine from its eyes, nothing. And then I noticed there were more of them in the ditch on both sides of the road. 5 or 6, or maybe more, all the same as the black shape on the road in front of me. None of them were moving. They didn't look like physical objects or living things. More like just large patches of absolute darkness. After I got over my shock, dread started to set in, and I drove around the thing on the road and sped off. I don't really believe this was a paranormal experience. I had been driving for 8+ hours through the middle of the night, and I was exhausted. Most likely, it was a hallucination caused by lack of sleep and spending too long staring straight ahead into the dark. But it was still a very unsettling experience. Story 30. This story was passed down from my grandfather. In his younger years, he worked as a lumberjack in the rural areas of Washington and Oregon. According to him, it was mostly uneventful, except for one incident. One night, he and 3 others were driving home, and he and the guy sitting in the back seat ended up falling asleep while the passenger in the front kept up a conversation to make sure the driver stayed alert. At some point during the night, my grandfather and the other guy in the back were suddenly jolted awake when the car screeched to a halt. The driver and the passenger in the front were both staring out the window, pale-faced and swearing. All 4 of them got a good, long look at something towering in the headlights ahead, black and wide, standing on the road. The driver made the quickest 3-point turn my grandfather had ever seen and took a different route. They all agreed that it was probably a bear that had gotten spooked by the car and was trying to scare them off. Whatever it was, my grandfather went on to retell the story at every family gathering afterward, so it's pretty much etched into my memory now. Story 31. Not a trucker, but I had a college teammate from Miami tell a story that he swears on to this day. He and his girlfriend were making the drive to Naples late night, on a 2-lane road through the Everglades, and had been in a line of cars behind an 18-wheeler for multiple miles. She fell asleep, and he was surfing for something to listen to on the radio. Only one station came in clearly enough to be tolerable, so he gave it a listen. The DJ came on and said something along the lines of, "The stars are extra bright in the Everglades tonight. If you're driving through there, pull off and take a look." He said he normally wouldn't even think of it, but for some reason he felt compelled to that night. He woke up his girlfriend. She was annoyed and didn't want to, but he convinced her it would be worth it. They stopped and just took in the stars for 5 to 10 minutes. He said it was the most amazing sky he's ever seen. They get back on the road and drive another few minutes and come across a massive accident. The truck they were following had a jackknifed and took out a handful of vehicles that were following. He said that there were multiple fatalities, but I've never been able to find a new story about it to confirm. Probably would have been in 2005-ish. They most likely would have been involved if not for that random DJ on the only radio station to come in that night. Story 32. I was working the overnight shift at a gas station from Friday night to Saturday morning when, around 6 a.m., a semi pulled into the fuel aisle. The driver got out, nearly ran into the store, and looked completely shaken. His face was pale, and he seemed visibly upset. My first thought was that he had hit someone on the road, especially since we often get drunks walking across the busy highway. I asked him what was wrong, and he paused for a moment before saying, "I'm not crazy." Naturally, I started to worry, as I was alone and this guy seemed to be losing it. I reassured him, and he continued, saying, "I just saw something huge on the side of the road." I asked if it was like a deer or bear, since we had a bear get into the dumpster recently, but he responded, "No, bigger than a bear on its back legs." I asked if it could have been a big person, and he replied, "It picked up a dead buck on the side of the road and carried it over its shoulder into the woods." I was speechless. My brain couldn't process this at that hour. Just then, a local came in for his usual, and the truck driver told him the story. The local casually said, "That's the Bigfoot that lives near the county line." The truck driver and I just stared at him, thinking he had to be joking. The trucker quickly paid for his fuel and left, never to be seen again. The locals still insisted it was Bigfoot, but I just don't go into the woods anymore because I really don't know. Story 33. I've got a few stories. One of the creepiest was when I was parked at a dirt turnout in the Arizona desert between Cameron and Page, out in Navajo country. It was around 2 a.m. when I woke up to scratching at the window of my sleeper. It went on for about 15 minutes, and I was sitting there in the dark, terrified, clutching my Bowie knife, wondering what the hell was happening. When it finally stopped, I waited another 15 minutes before I opened the curtain and looked out the window. I couldn't see anything outside, and I was still the only one parked there. The next morning, I went outside and found footprints that had come to my truck and then disappeared back into the desert. I haven't parked there since. I always stop at a small truck stop in Cameron now. Another time I was being stalked by, my gut says, a skinwalker outside of Cedar City. My company picks up PVC and cast iron pipe at a place not far out of town. I've had to load there several times after dark because it's a 24-hour drop-in hook location. But every time I've been there after dark, I've heard groaning sounds behind the trailers and the sound of something tapping on them. There's nothing nearby, like a flagpole or anything that could make those sounds. The second time I loaded there at night, I noticed a dark silhouette of someone standing between two trailers while I was throwing straps. After that, I stopped throwing straps at night if there weren't any other drivers around. I just park in the street outside, right under a streetlight, and wait until daybreak. Whether it's a skinwalker or not, I'm not sure, and I'm fine with not finding out. Story 34. I used to drive trucks for many years. Long hours. Always tired because the dispatcher would always think you were behind. But there were some interesting stories. There was this one guy who would pull up to a rest stop, see another company truck with the driver asleep at the wheel, and then put on a gorilla mask he had. He'd stand on the running board and knock on the window. The poor driver would nearly have a heart attack, and a few even chased him around threatening to cause some serious harm. One day, I was sitting in my truck waiting to load, in a line with other trucks. One guy opens his door, stands on the running board like he's peeing off the side, except he's holding a huge dildo in his hand. The next truck coming around the corner, the driver stared wide-eyed at him, and the guy casually tapped the giant dildo against the hot exhaust pipe, like he was shaking off a few drops of piss. The other driver nearly hit the building. Story 35. A few years ago, I was driving home after a shift at about 3 or 4 a.m. I was tired but not exhausted. I was on a deserted state route, in the middle of nowhere, and it's common not to see a single car during the 30-mile trip. I take this road several times a week, and it's mostly open fields and some farmland along the way. This particular night was cold, but the sky was clear, no clouds, just a perfect night to see the stars without light pollution. About halfway home, I came over a hill and onto a long, straight stretch of road. I noticed a huge, dark object hovering about 50 feet in the air, maybe 50 or 60 feet off the road, over a farm field. It was about the size of a pickup truck but rounder and thicker, with a very bright red light coming from the side or bottom. I couldn't tell exactly where the light was coming from because it was so bright. As I was driving about 50 miles per hour, I only had a few seconds to look at it, but the image is burned into my mind. I have no idea what it was. I wanted to turn around, but I was too freaked out. I believe alien life exists somewhere, but as for whether it visits our planet, I'm not sure. But if I had to paint a picture of what I think a UFO might look like, it would be exactly what I saw that night. Unfortunately, I haven't seen anything strange over that area since then. Story 36. One time, I was driving a big truck full of mailers from Atlanta to NYC in February. It was around 2 a.m., and we were in the middle of nowhere, just cruising along when suddenly, my girlfriend, who was my passenger, sat up straight and urgently said, "Pull over now." I was confused and asked, "What?" She repeated, "Now, pull over right now." So I did. We sat there for a few minutes, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?" She said, "I don't know. It was just a feeling, an intuition. Let's just keep going." We got back on the highway, crested the next hill, and there it was, a huge accident, with cars flipped over, wheels still spinning, smoke and fire everywhere. It had just happened, and there were no cops around yet. If we hadn't pulled off, we definitely would have been in that massive wreck. Lesson: always trust your girl's intuition. Story 37. So, I'm from Canada, and years ago, I drove long-haul trucks for about 5.5 years. 5 years too long, I always say. It just wasn't for me. After driving all over the western part of the continent, I decided to switch to shorter runs with the eastern group. One night, I was delivering a load of Nutella, Tic Tacs, and Ferrero Rocher to a warehouse in New Jersey. Can't remember the town's name. I was cruising along I-80, just running out of steam. Normally, I'd park at the delivery and sleep, then deliver the next morning, but I just couldn't do it that night. So, I decided to pull into the last rest area before I had to get off the interstate. Now, some rest areas are a little weird, and this one had parallel parking for trucks, which wasn't hard, but just felt off to me. There was one spot, and of course, a car was sitting in it. Luckily, the driver was nice enough to back out. I thought, hell yeah, thanks bro, and I parallel parked my big truck like it was second nature. I had to piss, so I started putting my shoes on and getting ready to hop out when the dude gets out of his car, walks up to the back corner of my trailer, and just stares into my cab. Weird, but whatever. I figured I'd wait it out and do my logbook. Then, he walks to the back of my truck and just stands there. At this point, I lock the doors. Ain't about to get stabbed tonight. He walks back up to the trailer and stares into my truck again. Now, I'm freaked out. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911 like a teenage girl walking home alone at 2 a.m., thumb hovering over the send button. I also grabbed the hammer I use for checking tires and possibly beating potential murderers, just in case. Then, he walks back to his car, but doesn't leave. Screw this. I was wide awake now, and suddenly, I realized I had an American-sized coffee sitting in my bladder. So, I fired up the rig and took off like I was late for my own wedding. I got to my delivery an hour later. Nothing happened, absolutely nothing, but it's still the creepiest thing I've ever experienced. Story 38. I'm not a trucker, but many years ago, I was driving south on a freeway through the middle of Utah. It was the middle of the day, and I hadn't seen a single car coming or going for miles. Then, up ahead, I spotted a semi-truck in the right lane of this two-lane southbound freeway. I was driving my lovely red sports car, gaining on him, so I pulled into the left lane to pass. I was slightly over the speed limit to get around him quickly, while he was going just under the limit. There was no shoulder because it was some kind of bridge or culvert crossing, and, as I mentioned, there were no other cars around. Just as I reached the halfway point of passing the semi, the driver suddenly started changing lanes for no apparent reason, right into my lane. There was nowhere for me to go. I was trapped, and it felt like I was going to die. Time seemed to slow down. The world around me blurred. Somehow, I managed to floor the gas pedal just in time, and my car shot forward, narrowly avoiding disaster. When I looked in the rearview mirror, the truck was completely in my lane. I have no doubt that he tried to kill me. It was clear and sunny, and there was nothing in front of him that could have caused him to change lanes. There were no curves to hide my very visible red car as I overtook him. He could easily see me coming on that long straightaway, so there was absolutely no reason for him to suddenly veer into my lane right as I was passing him. That stretch of freeway was always isolated back then. No cars around, no animals, just empty road. I didn't see another car for miles as I sped away from him. If he had tapped my car or if I had overreacted, it could have easily been written off as a tragic accident. Story 39. I have two stories that still haunt me to this day. I wasn't a truck driver, but I was a rural sheriff's deputy patrolling the Appalachian Mountains. There were just two of us covering almost 500 miles of road, so strange things weren't exactly rare. But these two incidents, I still can't explain. The first happened one night around 2 a.m. I was cruising down a pitch-black country road. No moon, just total darkness. I was doing about 60 miles an hour when I hit a series of small rolling hills. I went down the first hill, back up, and down again. As I hit the bottom of the second hill, there was suddenly a person standing right in front of my car. It looked like an old woman in a white gown. It sounds like something out of a horror movie, but that's exactly what I saw. In that moment, I knew I was about to hit her. I slammed on the brakes. She was dead center of my cruiser, about 10 to 15 feet away. I braced for impact, but I guess I hit the brakes so hard that the old Crown Vic fishtailed at the last second. She passed right beside my door and window. So close, I could have reached out and grabbed her. It all happened so fast that it was a blur, and I didn't get a good look at her features. I stopped the car, heart racing. I thought, thank God I didn't kill some poor old woman who wandered out of her house. But when I looked around, she was gone. And to make it even creepier, this all happened right next to an old church and cemetery. I searched the area, yelling for her, but there was no sign of her. Eventually, I got too freaked out and just left. I have no idea what the hell happened. There were no houses for miles, and the church and cemetery were isolated. The second story happened a few years later, or maybe it was before. Honestly, it's all a blur now. I was on patrol in the same part of the county, just a few miles down that same road. It was about the same time of night, and I was coming up to a long, straight stretch of road that intersected with a four-way stop. I noticed headlights approaching me, so I slowed down and stopped at the intersection. But then, I realized the headlights were just sitting in the middle of the road, about 100 to 150 yards away. It was strange, but not the weirdest thing. Could have been a drunk driver. I started to creep forward to check it out, and suddenly, the headlights went out. I stopped for a moment, confused, but the lights came back on. I watched for a second longer, and then both lights started to rise, about 10 to 12 feet off the ground, before coming together to form one bright, glowing orb. At that point, my skin started to crawl. The light blinked out, and I turned on all of my lights, drove down the road, and tried to figure out what the hell I had just seen. There was nothing. No cars, no farming equipment, nothing. Whatever had been in the road couldn't have gotten around me or turned around without me seeing it. To this day, I have no idea what those lights were. Story 40. My dad knows a lot of truck drivers who run routes in Mexico. It's a dangerous job, especially in areas where theft is a problem. One of his friends told him about a trip he took, driving from Sonora to Colima, if I remember right. The mountain passes are notorious for being dangerous, but once you get past them, it's smooth sailing. So, before he hit the pass, he stopped to grab some snacks and drinks. He was about 10 hours into his trip and figured he could take a break before his vacation. As he was getting into his truck, a young woman approached and asked if he could give her a ride just up the road to her family's house. He agreed, and after about an hour of driving, he dropped her off at a large hacienda. She thanked him, kissed him on the cheek, and told him, "I'll be here waiting for you when you come back. Be careful on the mountain trails, they're very dangerous." He hugged her and said he'd return for someone as beautiful as her, kissing her back. After driving carefully through the mountains, he made his delivery and started the return trip to Baja. In the middle of the day, he decided to stop by that hacienda and ask about the girl. An old gentleman greeted him and asked what she looked like. When he described her, the man's expression turned sad. "That was my daughter," he said. "She died on those mountain passes when her bus went over the side." Needless to say, that shook him to his core. He mentioned that the kiss felt cold, but he'd just assumed it was the air. After 17 years of driving, he retired and moved to Texas, but he'll never forget that eerie encounter. Story 41. It was a small truck stop, right in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin. I ended up being stalked by two guys inside. I'd never been in one of the little casino game rooms they have there, but I thought about playing $50 on a machine just for something to do. It had been a 13-hour drive, and I was bored out of my mind. I was walking through the store, checking out the snacks, and heading toward the back where the game room was, when I noticed them. These guys looked exactly like the kind of people you'd picture as potential predators or killers. They locked eyes with me, and slowly started to close in. There wasn't a soul around, and the clerk had vanished somewhere. When I was younger, I had the look of a pretty boy, so I know the feeling of being stalked. Every hair on your body stands up, you feel this electric tingle from head to toe, your heart races, and an overwhelming urge to get the hell out of there takes over. I'm a 6 feet 5 inches man now, and I can take care of myself, but in those 5 to 10 minutes, I've never been more terrified. They were circling around me in the back, near the game room. The only thing I could think to do was pull out my phone and fake a call. I started talking loudly, saying stuff like, "Yeah, I'm at exit such and such at the truck stop. You're only 10 minutes away. I'll wait outside." At the same time, I made a quick dash for the door, hitting it and bolting outside. They followed me out and were almost to my truck when I finally managed to pull out. From that day forward, whenever I'm on the road, I make sure to wear a large, visible fixed-blade knife in a sheath on my belt. You can never be too careful. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.